Hey guys, MD Prepper here. This time, not exactly a gear review, this type of a gear kit production. This is a little emergency heater can that I've made. I consider it a car heater can on the cheap. Now I've got better stuff than this, my Coleman stoves and all of that, my Mr. Heater buddies and whatnot. But I don't like to carry those around the car. I don't like getting them jostled around, might break them, that sort of thing. I want something simple, easy, effective that's going to do the job. Saw this model a couple years ago and made one myself a couple years back, and then I made 3 or 4. Unfortunately, I don't have an empty one to make one from scratch, but I'll show you the basics. Now, let me go ahead and say you need to keep this thing sealed all the time. I don't keep it in the car during hotter weather, but this time of year now it's winter time, I put them back in. Keep this in the back of the car. Keep a lighter attached to it with some duct tape. I already pulled the duct tape off of that just for this display. You can also keep a paint can opener on this if you need to. I always have a screwdriver, a pocket knife, multi-tool, that type of thing in the car at all times. So I don't have those on here, but a lot of people do just to keep the whole thing as a single unit. That's fine. Anyway, what you start off with, go to Lowe's or Home Depot, get yourself a little pint-sized paint can. Of course, these things are cheap, about $3 is I think what I paid with this, including the lid. This is going to be your basic canister for your heat. Now, what you need to do, next step, obviously get one of these bad boys. Keep it empty. Don't want any paint in it. Get a fresh one. Don't try to clean out an old one or anything like that. You don't want any of the fumes coming off the paint, burning up or anything like that. So, a clean one's cheap enough. Again, $3, I think, is what I paid for it. Most, maybe $2.50. Next thing you're going to need, big roll of toilet paper. Now, you don't need the best roll of toilet paper, softest in the world, because you're never going to use this again once you use it for this heater. But what you do need are the big double style rolls, the big thick ones. Don't get those little cheap, thin, small ones. I tried that once with my first one just to see how it worked out. It was terrible. Absolute disaster. You need these big ones. Now, what you're going to do with this is you're going to take out the cardboard liner here on the inside. I'm not going to waste this one because I may actually use this for its intended purpose. But once you pull this cardboard out, work it out. It's going to take a little while. You're just going to have the roll. You're going to be able to squish this thing up real tight. And again, can't show how tight with this. And then slowly wedge it into the can here. Once you do so, it's going to take a little while. Be patient. It will all fit. You do not have to pull any of the edges off the toilet paper or anything like that. The whole thing will fit. It's a very tight fit, which is why it works perfectly. This is going to be your wick, okay? Once you get this thing in here nice and crammed down, nice and tight, again, you can do it with your fingers. It's not that hard. Just go slow. What you're going to need, bottle of isopropyl alcohol. Get the 70%, not the 90. 90 burns too hot, burns too quickly. The 70 burns very, very cleanly. Going to get the job done. Very cheap. I think this whole 32-ounce bottle, which is roughly a quart, is $1.75, I think, maybe $2 at max. So I think the most I have in this thing, including the 25 to 50 cent lighter, is $3, $5, $6 tops. So absolutely no more than $6. I don't know what the price of a paint can opener is, but a lot of times you can get those for free. Anyway, once you get your toilet paper down in here all smushed in, and this one's already ready to go. That's it with some isopropyl alcohol on it. Take a bottle and slowly pour on the isopropyl. Let it sink in. You can fill it up. Don't let it overflow. It's going to soak down into the toilet paper. So it's going to take quite a while of, closing this thing up, coming back, and filling it up. This whole can is probably going to hold 2/3 to 3/4 of a bottle of isopropyl. Now, this is not the old bottle I used for this. This was from last winter. Just pulled it out. But here you go. As you fill it up, you're going to see it slowly soak back down, bubble up. Don't know if you can see those bubbles, but it is bubbling down into your wick, quote, your toilet paper. So the only thing you need to do to get this thing rolling is to light it up. Now, you don't have to use a cigarette lighter, but for general purpose, I think a cigarette lighter is going to do the job. You can put a pack of matches by it, whatever you feel like. Good thing about this, you strike it up, it's going to light. It's going to heat your car up. Of course, you're going to make sure it's stable. If you got a sport utility, something like that, I definitely recommend laying the back seats down and all that and set it somewhere nice and stable so it's not going to tip over. But good thing about this, it's not going to produce particularly noxious gases, anything like that. If you're really worried about that, you can keep your car window cracked just a little bit. This is going to heat your car if you get stuck there, or whatever type of survival situation you need. Bad thing about this, you can't cook with it, particularly because you put a pot on top of this, it's going to obviously smother the flame. But if you had some kind of wire mesh top on it, I guess you could put something to rise above this to put a pot or something like that on the boil water, snow, something like that. But again, this for me is purely designed for heating and warmth. Now let me light this bad boy up here with my lighter, and then once it starts up, I'm going to turn the light off just so you can see how well it lights up. Alright, come on now. There we go. We'll let it start up. And this will turn to a better flame here after a while. Won't rise so high if I let it keep going, but I'm not going to spend that kind of video time on it. But anyway, there it is. Good decent flame. Like I said, keep this clear of anything else until the flame settles down. Of course, if you're done with it, your car's heated up too much, it's starting to get too hot, you don't want to use the extra fuel because you're nice and toasty warm already. All you got to do, take the top, slide it over, smother the flame. Very simple. Pull that off there. Flame is out. What's interesting about this, it is reusable, believe it or not, for the low cost of $6. The flames come from the isopropyl alcohol coming off of the wick, kind of emanating off the top. So you don't actually burn wick. Show you the toilet paper there, just as clean as when I started off. You will not burn any wick as long as you've still got enough isopropyl alcohol being sucked up through the wick to burn. So basically all you have to do is, once this thing's cooled down again, if you actually want to use this thing in the long term or worried about extended use, get a few bottles of this around, refill it when it's cold or cooled off, let it soak down, use it just about forever. Works real well. Just make sure you secure this on real tight. Make sure you obviously have a way to get it open, which I have multiple ways to get these open. Make sure you set it in your car. Again, it's probably not going to leak or anything if it rolls around, but I always make sure I scotch it in a corner there somewhere with some other of my EDC carry gear, just so it doesn't roll around and clank around and cause trouble. My can, over the last couple years, has got just a little bit of rust on it from sitting in the car, I guess, open the doors, moisture coming in and out. Not real bad, but would be relatively cheap to resupply and remake these. So anyway, about $6 for a car heater, survival heater, emergency heater, if you're trying to prep on the very, very cheap and can't afford your higher end options. Again, even with my higher end options, I think this is a wonderful addition to have around. I've taught a lot of friends of mine how to make these who didn't have a whole lot of cash. A lot of the folks I work with and all that, they carry them in their cars too. So highly recommended. I've used them on a couple of occasions just to try them out. They work real well. MD Prepper out.